Hello, and thank you for listening to Operation Agency Freedom, where we are bringing you top secret advice from the world's most badass digital agency owners. These amazing men and women are sharing their stories of how they have built 6, 7, and 8-figure digital agencies and how you can too. My name is Chris Martinez, CEO of Dude, where we are helping digital agencies by giving them the people and the processes so that they can scale profitably. Today, I am joined by my friend, the very successful, the very inspiring Frank Coel from Digitopia. What's up, Frank?
Hey, Chris, how's it going? It's good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. The last time I actually saw you was when you were down here for our inauguración party for our office, which is like our grand opening.
See. Yeah, we were there and was really impressed with what you're doing there in Tijuana and the people you've assembled, the quality of the talent that you've assembled is pretty amazing. Everyone at your company there is just a joy to meet and a pleasure to work with.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And you guys have moved as well. Not too long ago, you guys moved offices and merged too.
Yeah, I went through a merger last year. So we started, I can go more into the story.
We'll get into the details.
Yeah, so we completed a merger August of last year in 2018, and we completed a rebrand of February of 2019.
That's awesome, man. Well, like I said, we'll get into your story in a second, but first, we always like to start off with our little roundtable discussion. And, we learned something about you by doing some social media stalking. Yeah. So martial arts, man. So I have to tell you, I started doing jujitsu back in December of 2018. So now, it's been like almost 4 months and I absolutely love it. But you yourself are what you call, you are a martial artist. So can you talk about that?
Yeah. So just in full transparency, I've been off for a couple of years.
Right.
Business has been good and, lots of things have been happening in the business, but, in many ways it can consume you. So I definitely neglected some things, including my martial arts training. So full transparency, my goal is to get back here in the next month or two. And I'm going to make that commitment here on your show.
Awesome.
To do that. But yeah, I studied for, probably like 8 years as a Kung Fu martial artist. And
wow.
Got to a sash level of purple.
Mm-hmm.
And so all that, what's left beyond that is brown and black.
Wow, that's awesome, man. It's kind of the same scale as jiu-jitsu then. Or I don't know, does it start out white? Does it go white, blue, purple, brown, black?
Yeah, so a lot of the martial arts systems are very similar. Some will have orange in there, some won't. Like our system for our Kung Fu school did not have orange. It went white, yellow, green, blue, purple, brown, and black. And then, and then a red sash indicated that you are an instructor.
Wow, that's awesome. So let me ask you this question. What are some of the life lessons that you've learned in martial arts that you've been able to carry over into the business world?
So I learned one early on when I was training with my instructor, and it's one that I've tried to implement in my business life and in my personal life, and it's daily work. I don't think it's anything I've mastered just yet, and it's so simple but actually really difficult. And so I remember one time I was training with my instructor, and we were working on a particular set of body movements,
mm-hmm.
and in doing so, I was losing my balance. It just wasn't flowing the way it should.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me, "Stop trying so hard." And I was really taken aback by that because my whole life I've tried really hard.
Right.
And we all hear from our parents and mentors and, we grow up, our coaches and teachers, try harder,
mm-hmm.
try hard. And so this really threw me for a loop. And what I realized was that the try hard part gets us sometimes so caught up here, right? We get so caught up in overthinking it
mm-hmm.
instead of just doing it and being it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that being aspect of it was really a transformation to my martial arts. And it's something I've tried to incorporate in my role at the agency is, be in the state of being rather than getting caught up in my headspace. And so that was a really important lesson. And in martial arts in particular, what that resulted in is this kind of quiet mind, being totally present. Oftentimes we would refer to martial arts as meditation through movement. Like meditation is often seen as something where you're quiet, you're alone,
Mm-hmm.
silence, you don't say anything, but that's actually not necessarily the right definition of meditation. Meditation is when you bring extreme presence and appreciation to anything you're doing. And so if you're chopping down a tree, that can be a point of meditation if you're fully present and just appreciating the moment of chopping a tree or washing dishes. And so in martial arts, the movement and being present with it and having a quiet mind and not having yourself anywhere, and oftentimes the movements are so strenuous and difficult, you have no choice but to be present. So it definitely was meditative, and it quieted the mind. And speaking of jiu-jitsu, whenever I would do grappling, which is what we called it at our school, because our school wasn't trying to front as a jiu-jitsu studio.
Yeah.
One of the really important aspects where that came into play is, this idea of listening,
Mm-hmm.
listening to one's body energy. And it's not listening here, but it's listening here.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you were connected to another individual and going through, rolling around, that quiet mind, that being present became really imperative to being successful in a grappling situation,
Mm-hmm.
or in a sparring situation. If you get caught up in the sparring situation of thinking about, what kind of combination you're going to throw, it doesn't always work out according to that plan. So it doesn't really
Right.
it doesn't really serve you to get caught up in your headspace. And all of that really applies to business.
Can you give us some examples of the things that you've kind of found yourself getting caught up in your own headspace and how you've been able to overcome that?
Yeah. So in business, especially if we as business leaders are trying to grow something great, if we're trying to grow something beyond ourselves, which, by the way, the only great things truly encompass, bringing others in, and that starts to become outside of us. If you want to do that, then you're going to have to let go. I had to let go, and I had to start to give things up. And that requires processing that. That requires going through this journey where you're okay letting things go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very difficult to do because you can get caught up in your own headspace. You can start to have this inner dialogue and overthinking things and wanting to make sure your mark or your way is on every aspect of the business. And I think just being present and letting things kind of roll as they roll, knowing that as a leader, it's our jobs to maybe just point the way and
Mm-hmm.
maybe describe what we need to look like and end up like, and then get everyone excited about that journey and why they're on that journey. And then let everyone else come up with how we're going to get there. Let everyone else contribute towards that journey. Otherwise, if you as the leader have to put your fingerprint on every aspect of the journey, or it's just going to make it very difficult to grow, and not just the business, but to grow as an individual.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
And so those are the things that I'm constantly teaching to myself and having a lot of self-reflection about.
I love this talk. Now I feel like all zen and calm.
I mean, it's really what it's about is the more zen you can be. I'm not suggesting one has to study zen, but the more zen you can be about your approach to growing your business. I'm not suggesting it's the magic bullet, the silver bullet that all of a sudden, 5X your growth, but it will make it more enjoyable. It will make it more fruitful. It will make it more fulfilling.
Awesome,
and
man.
at the end of the day, your business may not become the next great, unicorn. It just might not. And one day you might croak over and die. So the important thing is, along the way, is it fulfilling? Are you helping others? Are you living a life that's fulfilled and enjoying what you're doing?
Yeah, totally. Well, let's dive into your story, man. So how did you get to this point? Let's talk about your roots and kind of like where you came from.
Geez, how far back do you want me to go?
As far as you feel comfortable going, my man.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to go back to let's go back to the 90s.
Okay, cool.
We're going to
Just so you know, somebody asked me this question actually on a podcast interview, and I responded the exact same way. So I went all the way back. We went back to the childhood stuff. So yeah, dude, let's start in the 90s. Go for it.
Okay, so 90s, graduated high school in 1991, and college was not sounding too appealing to me.
Mm-hmm.
I was always a good student, and growing up through grade school, I had, straight A's and this and that. But by the time high school came around, my parents placed so much pressure on me when it came to grades through my whole life. I was kind of over it. I was really sick of it. And so in high school, I just became a master at figuring out the way around things. In total transparency, I figured out the way around things. And I just quickly realized that, I could wire life the way I wanted. Like, to get to what I wanted, I didn't have to follow someone else's path.
Absolutely.
And I quickly realized that. So in high school, I did what I needed to do to get halfway decent grades and, do it on my terms. And so by the time high school was over and the idea of college came around, I was kind of like, I don't think this is going to be for me. So I attempted to sit in a classroom in college, and I was like, I don't have the patience for this or the attention span. And I did that while I was waiting to go into the Marine Corps. So I signed up for for the Armed Forces, and I chose the Marine Corps through some nudging by one of my uncles, who was a former Marine.
Okay.
And so I went in the Marine Corps. I was on active duty for about a year during my job training, and the rest of the time was reserve. And so when I came back and was looking for a job, I ended up in retail and did really well there. I excelled in retail. I was a sales manager and store manager of multiple locations. And through that journey, when I was in retail, I remember in the computer department, there was all this signage that was coming into the computer department. It said, "The information superhighway is coming." The information superhighway is coming. I was like, wow, what is that?
Yeah, exactly. What is that?
Started asking around and whatnot. And I realized it was this this thing on the World Wide Web. That was the new name. The information superhighway really didn't stick. The one that people really gravitated towards was World Wide Web. So I found out that through my America Online account, that there's this thing called web space, and every individual, every America Online member, subscriber, had this thing called web space. And you could get to it through all these different communities within AOL. You could get to, someone could link you up to their web space, and you would see these web pages. And so right away when I saw that, I said, you could probably make money with this.
Nice.
And so I wanted to sell some how to work from home kind of information. And my first venture into the online was selling info. And I found this guy through the America Online portal who would build me a web page, and he wanted $50. And for me, 1996 franc, 1997 franc, $50 was a lot of money. I had to ask my wife. And so my wife, God bless her, she's always, been behind every harebrained scheme that I've had. She let me have the $50. So I paid this guy $50. I sent him a check through mail, and
That's
then
awesome.
he emailed me my files. And so I uploaded them, and I started getting checks in the mail for these information packets. And it was kind of awesome. And so I decided I wanted to change it up, and I needed to change the product or I wanted to add a product, I don't remember, to this web page. And I went, oh shit, this guy's going to want $50 again. And so I was like, I don't want to have to ask my wife for $50 again. And because, I was only getting a few orders here and there, but it was kind of cool. I got a taste of it. So I cracked open the file that he sent me, and I was like, I'd done some programming when I was in junior high, so I was a little code savvy. So I cracked it open, and I saw the words that I saw on the screen. So I changed the words. I uploaded the file, and it changed on the screen, and my mind was forever blown. It was like crack for me. I was like hooked. I was like, wow, the power I now wield is pretty insane. And so from that point on, I learned how to code out web pages, and then I learned how to take that from coding web pages to building full-blown connected websites, and then I transfer that into learning how to build back-end server-side code. and then turning that into, flat file database work. And then eventually I built my own content management system.
Wow.
And so I built a content management system from the ground up. And this was back when, by the way, most of the marketplace had no idea what content management was. I mean, it was reserved only for really large enterprise kinds of companies.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I started out on my own, and I started, my quote unquote agency, which back then I didn't really think of it as an agency. This was back in, I was kind of doing freelance work on the side, like right around 2001,
Okay.
2002. Nobody was asking for that. And when I officially launched out on my own in 2004, still nobody was asking for it. So when I would go pitch to people that, I had this content management system, when I build your website, it kind of just was like over their heads. So for many years, we built websites. We built very custom websites. We were very good at it because we understood the programming, and we built the content management system from the ground up. We built all the plugins from the ground up. And then at some point, the marketplace was asking for content management. And I was like, bingo, I'm your guy. Like, we're experts in that. And at some point, it started to shift. They started asking for WordPress specifically, not because they knew WordPress was better or worse or anything like that, but that's just what they heard.
Just what people wanted, yeah.
And so at some point, it became a detriment in the sales process to say, oh, no, we've got one that's better, because now I was trying to sell them on something else. So we eventually shifted away from that. But so aside from all those details, we eventually became a full service digital agency and marketing agency. So we were doing branding and trade show booths, and we were doing commercial quality videos and website development. We were doing everything. And we got to the $1 million mark doing that, but it was a lot of juggling to make that happen. And we realized that trying to do everything was not sustainable.
Yeah, it was, in many ways, it's counterproductive.
Yeah, it wasn't sustainable. And so we got to a place that, people thought was successful, but, it certainly didn't feel that way. And so we realized we needed to slim down our offering, and we also needed a recurring service model. And so that was about 5 years ago when we started really thinking that way and making strides. And we had fits and starts over the years to try to do a recurring service model, but we were finally at the point where we said, damn it, I don't care if it kills us, we're going to do this. And in that process, it damn near killed us, because what I didn't realize, what my arrogance didn't let me realize, was that we were essentially spinning up a brand new business.
Mm-hmm.
And, spinning up a brand new business when you're, when you need $1 million to sustain, it's very dicey. And I didn't realize how dangerous of a move that was. And so we held on, and by the skin of our teeth, we held on, and I just kept selling, and we kept trying to do the best we could for clients, and held on to where eventually we got pretty darn good at it. And started saying no to all the things we used to say yes to. Started saying no, and got really clear on what we were doing. And then eventually that led to, the idea of wanting to take it to another level. And so we started exploring the idea of merging with another agency. And so we started that conversation at the very top of 2018. And took about 6 months after we identified a partner, took about 6 months to put the deal together, and closed out on August 1. So as of August 1 of 2018, we were, kind of double the size overnight. And then on February 1 of 2019, we launched a new brand.
That's awesome.
So that's the journey. That's the story.
That's great, man. So what was the year that the agency that you were previously known under, Elevator, what was the year that you established Elevator?
Well, it was kind of in 2004, even though maybe I didn't launch under that name. I kind of, in the beginning, was toying around with a few different names. And so maybe for the 3 years after, I was toying around with a few different things. But shortly thereafter, we were Elevator.
Awesome. And then, what are some of the things that really, like looking back, what are some of the things that really helped you get through that, 5 years ago when you decided, hey, we needed to add on more reoccurring? Like, if you were to go back and you were able to pinpoint a couple of things that helped you guys to become successful, what would you say that those things were?
Well, one is just like stupid tenacity.
Yeah.
Like
work ethic.
Just not giving up. And believe me, there were plenty of times and reasons and moments to give up. And that just was never an option for me.
Sales
And
were most of the obstacles on the sales side, or was it operations, or was it, I don't know,
all of
finance?
it, all of it. Yeah, all of it, sales and ops, figuring out how to sell what we now do and how to position that, how to articulate it, how to package it up, and then, give it to a team that, largely was built to do one thing. And
Mm-hmm.
so the whole team had to turn over,
Mm-hmm.
not because I didn't love them and didn't like them and wanted them to go, but, the team that we had, they were attracted to doing, they came to us to do what we were known for doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what we were going to do anymore. And so, people saw the writing on the wall, and some of our people, we even had proactive conversations and said, hey, we think you're wasting your time with us. Literally. We approached a couple of our employees who were just rock stars in what they did, but it really wasn't going to be a big part of what we were doing going forward. And they were so loyal. I mean, these people were awesome. They were so loyal. They would have stayed. And myself and my business partner, we couldn't see them doing that. We felt we would be doing them a disservice by letting them stay. So we had proactive conversations with a couple of people, and we told them, we're not telling you to go. We would keep you, but we think you're wasting your time with us. And so it required having some very honest conversations and whatnot. So pretty much the whole team turned over the course of a couple of years. And so it was everything. Selling it, it was the team, it was delivering it, and then learning how to deliver it. So
I mean, it is in many ways refreshing to hear somebody like yourself talk about the difficult times, because there are thousands of agency owners out there who do go through those moments where they're just like, man, I don't know how I'm going to get through this, or is this even worth it? What helps you with the motivation? Because not all the days are rosy. Like, you do have shitty days, no matter what stage your company is in. What do you personally do to try and get through those difficult times?
So back then, it was just like stupid tenacity
Just
and
work.
and arrogance. And, it was all those things to just keep moving when 1+1, was not penciling out to 2. It just wasn't like, clearly the square peg was not fitting in the round hole. But again, through just stupid belief and tenacity, just keep moving forward. There's many people in the face of that who would see the writing on the wall and say, no, I've got to do something else. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in that game of realizing it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if you've given it an honest effort and you've had a lot of tenacity. So for me, it was just bulldogged, wasn't going to let go. I had like lockjaw on it. And so that was then. Today, it's more so about continuing to kill the ego every day and letting go and letting my leadership team own things and letting my leadership team be the rock stars and be the heroes. And I think that's the next area of growth. And that's what I continue to work on currently, to take it to another level and to achieve the things that we're trying to achieve. It has to be more than my idea and, the Frank show, so to speak. And so that's been an important life lesson.
So now you guys have gone through the merger. Now you're Digitopia, right? And so talking about the ego and getting rid of the Frank show, like, what are some of the things that you guys are doing right now at Digitopia that's a bit different than what you were doing before at Elevator?
Yeah, so now we have a leadership team total of 6
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to 3. So the leadership team doubled in size.
Wow.
So what that means is that each area of the business can be owned by someone, as opposed to a leadership team member needing to wear 2 or 3 hats.
And by area of the business, do you mean like products, like service offering necessarily, like so to speak?
If we look at the major functions within the business: marketing, sales, operations, admin, finance.
Okay.
Each of those areas are now owned by somebody. And so that's a huge difference.
Right.
we have a head of marketing for our own marketing, not the client's marketing.
Wow.
We have a head of sales for our sales. We have a head of operations. We have a head of finance. And so those are the things where it's a huge difference compared to what we were doing before. We run a management framework called EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System.
Okay.
And what's really interesting is at Elevator, we were running EOS, and here at Digitopia, we're running EOS. And the same amount of effort, the same structure, the same playbook, we get more fruit out of it now
Mm-hmm.
because we have a bigger leadership team. We have more people to deploy all those initiatives across the organization and tackle the tasks and tackle the issues. And so I'm starting to see how much more effective the framework is with a bigger team. So that's really cool. And just, continuing to open up the conversations to more voices on the team, which wasn't really happening before when we were, much smaller. So that's been pretty cool.
Awesome. What's your guys' like value proposition, or how do you help people at Digitopia?
Yeah, so we help businesses create a digital ecosystem that accelerates their growth. And within that digital ecosystem, we're architecting what we call digital brand experiences
Mm-hmm.
that are hyper focused on, specific target audiences around specific topics or pain points. And so because we take that holistic view and we bubble up the data in a way that the executive team can understand, we truly become a strategic partner, and not just in the way most people throw that word around, but we truly become a strategic partner, even pairing our clients with true strategists, not just AEs or account managers,
Mm-hmm.
strategists that they actually pay for. Our strategists are line items that our clients pay for. And as opposed to saying, oh, you get an account manager who's free, and part of it, that's just, we all know that that's just a glorified project manager.
Right.
And so we don't
Or
do
a
that.
salesperson.
Correct. So we don't do that at Digitopia. We actually give them an account strategist, a digital strategist who looks at their program holistically and is helping them figure out the next digital brand experience that they need to be building within their organization, and how can they provide guidance to the client's team as well, so that it becomes a hybrid team,
Mm-hmm.
not just something that the client writes a check, throws it over the fence, and expects something to come back over.
Right. Right.
It's a hybrid team that we build with our clients.
So what is Digitopia? What do you anticipate Digitopia looking like in 1 year, let's say?
So in 1 year, probably just a bigger version of our current selves.
Mm-hmm.
3 years, 5 years, we hope to be more of a digital business firm as opposed to just digital marketing.
What does that mean?
So what digital business means to me is that we're looking at the life cycle that their customers go through across marketing, sales, and service. And so we're helping right now provide some thought leadership on what that digital brand experience looks like across marketing, sales, and service. But our execution is primarily just on the marketing side, and we're doing some light sales enablement right now with our clients. And so in the future, I suspect that our strategists will be able to truly consult across all three of those areas, and we will either have solutions or partners for all three of those areas. So that way we're helping our clients create a growth framework, not just a marketing framework.
Awesome, man. Hey, well, we're just about out of time. I really appreciate you going on the show. It's always great chatting. I want to have you back, man, because I know we could probably talk for 2 more hours. And I know I know it would be a huge benefit for all the agency owners out there.
Yeah, anytime you want to do an extended show, just let me know. We'll go down,
Awesome.
and as long as you feed me some of those amazing street tacos down in Tijuana, I'll be there.
Heck yeah, man. Well, so you haven't experienced the new tacos that are just, so there's a big park right next to our big office, if you remember.
Which I saw, yes.
Yeah. So if you go through the park, there's a taco stand that sells the birria tacos. I don't know if you've ever had that's like a marinated meat. Oh my God. They're amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I think I'm coming down soon, man.
Yeah, exactly. Frank, what's the best way for people to get in contact with you?
Yeah. So look, if you want to talk about what we're doing at our agency, you just want to, get some advice or get some experience shares on what we're doing, or if you're looking for someone to help guide you, or if you're just, one of those people that says, look, I'm ready to throw in the towel. I've got an agency. We're doing, a few $100,000, maybe $500,000. And, I think we might just be time to move on, and you'd like to talk about, what a transition would look like. I can help, talk to you about all those subjects. So shoot me an email. Best way to reach me is through email. It's fcowell, FCOWELL, @digitopia.agency, fcowell@digitopia.agency. Would love to connect with your listeners.
That's awesome, man. And you kind of mentioned it, but who is the perfect person to reach out to you today?
So someone who is, doing anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000, $750,000 in rev, $250,000 to $750,000 in rev, and they want to take it to another level. They want to figure out how they get their agency over that $1 million mark, or they're at a point where they're like, growing a company is just ultimately not what I want to do. And I'd love to talk about a transition program to where, they can sell off their assets, but somehow, have some sort of reward from that, and then, still be involved in the agency mix, but maybe take on a leadership role as opposed to an owner role. I talk to agency owners all the time who realize that it's not for them.
Yeah.
And again, there's no shame in that game. And so if those two audiences, someone who's looking to get over that $1 million mark, or they realize, I just want to do the part I'm good at, which is maybe client strategy, or maybe it's selling, maybe they just want to do the part that they're good at. I'd love to talk to people in both of those situations.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much again for being on the show. To all of our listeners, thank you for tuning in today, and make sure that you return next Thursday and every Thursday for the next episode of Operation Agency Freedom. Thanks so much for listening. Have a wonderful day. Thanks, Frank.
Take care, Chris.